And you'll see it starts off on the right and it's moving all over the place. So the way that we bypass those mirrored edges when it starts all the way to the right is we offset the scale, but we offset the position. So what I did, if I set this back to 0, um, it's centered here, but then when I do my actual speed ramp transition, there's there's a lot of there's a lot of movement, and a lot of mirrored edges. So what I've done is, oh, there we go. Now you can see the crazy mirrored edges on the right hand side and all the way through. Um, so I keyframed, set a keyframe, move the x-axis over so that there's no mirrored edges on the right. And then as we go towards the middle, you can see it's kind of clipping there on the bottom. Um, add another keyframe right here. We'll drag that down a little bit. That's kind of a quick and dirty way to do this. And then we just speed ramped out. So I'm pushing Shift B on the keyboard and I'm setting a time remapping keyframe and then setting the rest to 20x to speed ramp out. So when we pull that up here, that's what that speed ramp actually looks like. I refined it more. I sped it up even more. And then again, this shot, if we go into the raw clip, this is the already stabilized clip, but you can see you see how much distance I'm covering when I'm filming this. Like when I'm on site, I'm starting basically at the entrance of the house, like the entrance of the walkway, and coming all the way up the driveway. And this is a really steep uphill driveway, but I'm keeping that center focus, just like I talked about, the center of the house, that pitch line in the roof. I'm keeping that lined up perfectly in the center to the best of my ability. And then, I mean, if I turn off my stabilizer, you'll see it was a bit shakier than that. But using that same stabilization method, I tracked it right to the peak because I wanted to draw the viewer's eye up there. That's how we stabilize that clip. Then the title that I used right here, Paradise Typography 01. That's another Motion VFX title. It's in mTracker 3D. And it is part of the Glow. Oh, sorry, mTracker 3D expansions. It's part of the Glow effect, right? The Glow folder, Glow pack, right here, Glow. So this is that title. Then what I did after I stabilized this clip, then I created a compound clip, and I added mTracker 3D on here. So I will show you how I did that real quick. mTracker. Grab that on there. And all you got to do with this is click track, and it's going to analyze from front to back the entire clip. Once that's done, we're going to duplicate this. We're going to duplicate this clip that's being tracked because we need to be able to mask the house in front of the words paradise. And I'll show you how we do that real quickly as soon as this is finished here. But you'll notice the layer structure of this. I have the mask layer on top, then I have the title underneath so that it's behind the house, and then I have the full layer underneath that. So now that that is finished tracking, we copy the track from mTracker 3D, and we click paste on this. Let's actually just try it fresh here. Let's do it with the word glow. So I pulled this directly on here onto the timeline. We're pasting the track. Then I wanted to place this right up here at the start of the house. So what I'm doing is clicking the on-screen control. I'm tracking the text to up here, and then I'm holding in shift to ignore the orientation of the tracker point so that the text is facing me. Text is facing the viewer. So there it is. It's tracked there. That's too small for me. So I'm going to pop up the scale. Maybe I'll drop down the y-axis just a little bit, just so it's behind the house a little bit. And then on this layer, what I did here is I just duplicated this tracked layer. And then I pulled up magnetic mask. We will go magnetic mask. I'm going to drag that onto the house. And you'll see it only select part of it. So I'm just going to go in here. I'm going to manually select this area. This is a really easy track to do because the sky is a very high contrast. So it's really easy, but you'll find when you're doing this in your own videos with your subjects that it's still pretty good about doing this. So I'm in the middle of the frame here, and then all I'm doing is clicking analyze. And you'll see these marching ants are tracking basically backward and forward. So now when I scrub through this, you see my mask is perfectly attached to the house. So then all we do is click done, drag the text layer underneath the house or behind the house, and just like that, that's how I achieve that paradise effect. Hopefully you're still here, Nick. I know you wanted to see that. Your brain is cooked. Sorry, dude. I'm trying to give as much value as I can, but it is a lot. It definitely is a lot. This replay is going to be super valuable. Okay, day to night.
Day to night. Let's keep going.
This is a wide straight push shot. It was in my presentation. If you remember the way that I line this shot up, if I pull up my horizon, it's a little misaligned right now because I adjusted the scale and the position of these clips so that I can make them line up more consistently. But essentially, when I shot this, you'll see the black line of the house is following the yellow line dead center of my camera, and I'm just finding clips. I'm finding clips that are, or a point in the clip where the transition is the most seamless. So if I take off the Luma fade, it's pretty much like, it's as good as you can get it without shooting it multiple times. And I only did this, I think I did this in like 2 or 3 takes. So if I drag this out, I basically came all the way until I stepped in the pool pretty much. And then the same thing with the night shot where I had the agent walk through. This was something that I pre-planned. I knew that she was going to be dressing up. She was wearing a nice high contrast outfit that really complemented the style and the effects of the home, the design of the home. So I had her walk through and pretty much exact same movement. I mean, I could have day to night anywhere in this, but I wanted to make sure that she was well in frame by the time I revealed it. So a trick to lining these clips up effectively is once you pick your shot, I like to go on here and either go opacity 50%, but I find that it's kind of hard. Like you can see the pillows and stuff is a little bit out of alignment, but it looks a little blurry and it's kind of hard to get it completely accurate. So what I like to do is, again, I use that difference trick. This is where I learned that with the text, by the way. I'll pull up difference, and you'll see as I scrub along this, like the trees are out of alignment, then they're in alignment, and then there's different elements. Like the pool is not perfectly lined up, but as we're getting close to the actual transition, right there, the pool is perfectly lined up along that along that angle along that plane, and the house is pretty much lined up. You'll see like a little bit of outlines. The trees are obviously not alignment. You'll see this a lot uh, when you start to film this yourself. You'll see the edges of your screen are not nearly as aligned. But again, why I keep everything in the center of the frame, because that's where your eye is naturally drawn to. And so you have a tendency to forgive the fact that those trees are not perfectly lined up, right? And there'll be plenty of times where things move throughout the day. Like a tree will be blowing and then it will be still, right? Um, but this helps me line it up perfectly straight. And I just found a point where it looked pretty good to my eye. Like I don't think anybody would have noticed. Um, you can see my scale is 103.28. If I set that back to the original scale, it's way out of alignment, right? Like everything, it looks way out of alignment. So what I did is I scaled the bottom layer up to 105. I usually go 105, 110, just to give myself some room to play with. Then my top layer, I scale until it looks just about perfect to me there. And so for me, that was about 103%. And then I go to the transform tool and click and drag and move it around. Because, sometimes you'll see it, more often than not, you'll see it line up like this. And then you'll have to like adjust it and just do that fine tweaking. So the key to a good day tonight is getting it as close to perfect as you can. And it will make the transition feel so much more seamless. I shot both these shots with a 12 millimeter Laowa, wide, straight, just push shot. So we'll get rid of that, and we'll go through the actual Luma fade transition. So this transition is free. It's from Motion VFX, M transition Luma. We'll grab it, we'll drag it between those clips, and you can see it kind of, by default, it actually looks pretty good. I adjusted it to be much more abrupt because to me it felt weird to see random feet walking before we see her walking. And part of that is because it's transitioning from the highlights first rather than the shadows. So on this clip, I transitioned from the shadows first. So the darker parts of the image are being revealed first, and then the lighter parts later. So the sky changes after, but the darker parts where she is, where the table is, that's being revealed first. Then I shortened it here. I wanted it to be quick and snappy to the beat of the song. But see, it's still a little abrupt for me. You can see the edges are a little bit too harsh. So we'll climb over here and we'll go to maybe the middle point here and adjust that. We'll just bump up that smoothness a little bit and the edge softness a little bit. And then we'll just drag through. That looks a little more dreamy. Looks a little more natural and not so jarring and weird. The half screen day tonight, I will show you that in the next video because that was one of my effects in the next one. But yeah, that is the day tonight. You can do that with anything. I did the exact same thing at the beginning of this clip. You don't notice it as much because I have all the text in front. But if I disable these, it's the exact same concept, wide straight push with that black bar of the house perfectly lined up. And a thing that I like to do when I shoot these houses, a lot of the times I'm only on site for like 4 hours max. So I always try and schedule my timing to be there 2 hours before sunset, and then, or 2 to 3 hours before sunset, so that I have plenty of time to get all the footage that I want. And then as the sun is setting, as we're getting into twilight, I have that last hour to come back and get all these types of shots. Fortunately, this was shot in the summer, so I had a lot of time. I had a lot of light to work with. In the winter now, it gets dark in like 15 minutes, so it's a lot harder. But same concept there. Somebody asked how I get these yellow lines. Pop up here into view in the top right and click show horizon. I
So good, man.
actually like to edit with this on often because it helps me line up where I know the viewer is going to be looking. Like, even though I'm shooting with the center in mind, I'm also editing with the center in mind, right? And it just helps you understand like where your viewer is naturally going to be looking before you do any sort of movement.
JT, you talked about how important shooting was. We do have a question. Phil's
Yeah,
asking, and this may be simple to some people, but maybe novelty to new people. So let's just go at it with the perspective that we can learn more. So how is it that you're lining up as close as possible? What seems to be your tactic so that you can line it up as close as possible? Because we would love to know.
yeah. So again, it's pretty much the same thought process with all of my shots. I'm picking a center point and I just know exactly where I'm going to be. But for day to night specifically, this is why it's very crucial to have rule of thirds on so that when you line this up, I don't have a rule of thirds guideline here, but when you line this up, I knew that about the top line of that house was on the top line of my rule of thirds. And then the base
Yep.
of the house where I'm starting from is closer to the bottom line of the rule of thirds. And then I'm also like I make a mental note of where I'm standing. So for here on this particular shot, I know that I walked all the way back until my left foot was
Yes.
touching this little guardrail that you see. So I know that I'm starting here with dead center of the house in frame, and I look for as many landmarks as I possibly can to mentally tie in this shot with, okay, I know the shot that I'm getting first off. Now
So good.
I make check marks. My left foot is touching the wall. My elbows are pretty much sitting naturally. I'm not hunched up. I'm not going like this. I want a repeatable movement that I know that I will shoot exactly the same way. So I keep it loose. I keep my arms naturally where they would be. I try and keep the camera centered in my chest, right? And I'm just looking at it and when I shoot these shots, I'm walking pretty slow. Like, uh, if I go look at this is normal speed. So this is real time. This is how fast I'm walking. In this $22 million mega man. Not fast. Not fast at all. Escape to paradise. There is a cadence. There is a cadence and a rhythm to, if you grew up on dirt roads like me, there's always these bumps in the roads and you drive a certain amount of speed to smooth it out. If you go too slow, you kind of start to bounce. If you go too fast, you start to lose control. So you'll naturally find that rhythm and cadence. If I was to shoot this shot again, I'd probably walk just a little bit faster, and keep it a bit more smooth. But that's kind of my method there. It's all mental. But you get so good with it over time. Like the thing about all this stuff, the thing about all this shooting, I know I talked about a lot and covered a lot, but you do this 5 or 6 houses and this all just becomes muscle memory. It's all second nature. And you just know I'm lining up every shot perfect. I'm walking straight. I'm pulling back. I'm getting orbits. I'm getting my glue. I'm getting my glue that's going to hold this whole thing together. And then you start to experiment with getting more creative, start revealing more things. With my properties that I'm working on now, you'll see when I release more videos that I have much more creative shots that are more dynamic, a lot more movement. But that's because I've I've narrowed down my core shots and my glue shots, and it's all just second nature to me now. Now we're going to the Kobe edit. This one got a lot of attention. This one got the attention of not only the architect that built the house, but it got the attention of the real estate broker that sold it. And this is how I was able to connect with the Altman brothers, who is one of the biggest, they're one of the biggest real estate brokers in the West Coast. So we'll just start off right from the beginning. Again, you'll notice all my Krotos studio sounds. You'll notice some whooshes, some risers, some releases. The sound design is all there. This one I didn't go nearly as intense on the sound design because I wanted this song to carry most of the weight and most of the flow. We'll break down the Kobe edit now. This is my best performing real estate video, I guess, where it's just purely real estate. We will start off real quickly. We'll just play through them. God
damn. Running in place, I never do that. My destination is running the map. I run in your trap like running your work for somebody get hurt. Run or get clapped. I ain't cool with either.
Seconds. Bryant for the win.
Back, take trips, make hits, make big chips stack to they tallest Chris staffs. Me and your squad is mismatched. Your calves ain't strong enough to follow his path. And you know the bad if I brought it back. Let the chick ride stick like I taught her witchcraft. Caught her whiplash when they saw the whip pass. They like, okay, I see you, how could you not? I drove to CVS, caught the plan B, and I watched as she swallowed. I kid you not.
Now that we've seen the video, I'm going to just kind of scrub through this so you can see with these horizons, everything is centered. Everything is centered where I want your attention to be. Right there on the painting, and you'll see my glue shots. This is a perfect example of orbiting where on these clips, I'm actually walking all the way behind the center console there and rotating all the way out around the couch, shot at 12 millimeters. Same thing outside. I actually have a BTS scene of me doing this walk here. I'll see if I can pull it up for you. So you can see just how much I'm physically walking to get these shots. This is obviously a drone shot, but you'll see it's tracked perfectly to the Mamba logo. The way we do this is when you pull up your drone, you click and drag, you just tap and drag a center point, and then use active track to track the point with your drone. So as you fly, it's staying locked in on the center. Any drone movement you make, it's focusing on that locked in center. I use the DJI Mavic 3 Cine, but any of the newer DJI drones that will shoot 4K 60 will do you just right. If you see my crosshairs, the things that I want you to see are always lined up with that middle crosshair. And I always like to use symmetry too. I'm kind of a architecture nerd, which is why I got into shooting houses in the first place. But I love seeing like that right there. Just makes me so happy. Seeing that corner bench lined up perfectly with the center marker there. Again, here are my detail shots. This is that shot in motion that I showed you in the presentation. I have foreground moving with the chairs, but I also have a subtle zoom in. And this is just a slider shot. This is just me moving the gimbal from side to side. Yes, I use topaz in my videos, and I will go over that at the end. Then this one is kind of like a pan tilt shot where I'm just revealing, keeping the light fixture in mind. I don't start there. I don't start there because I want to show the whole kitchen, but I know that I'm going to end at the light fixture. And then speed ramping through here, matching the same movement, left to right, revealing the master bedroom suite. Another slider shot. I tried to keep the line of that LED light with the middle of my screen. This one I actually adjusted the clip more because I wanted more of the wood to show because I thought that was a really cool feature of the house. But we're just matching movement to the best of our ability. Slowly revealing different parts of the house, the master bath. This is a move that I've been doing quite often. Bathrooms are usually really challenging to film. So if you start with a 12 millimeter, I like to start in PTF mode on the gimbal, and I'll start the shower head right in the center of my frame. And then what I'll do is I'll walk backwards away from the shower head, and it gives this really cool, basically the drones or the gimbal follows my body movement, and then the glass, you see the glass on the left and the right, just kind of slides through. It gives a little parallax, a little flare, and then transition to a zoom. And I tried to match kind of the same movement here. If I set this whole clip to normal, and I go, oh, that's not working. You'll see as I was coming down from there, that orbiting down movement. I then matched the same movement on this clip where I was starting kind of up at the top and orbiting down and orbiting away. By the way I tracked my logo on the screen is the exact same way I did the Bugatti license plate. I just threw on mtracker surface right here, clicked the square around the screen, tracked it forward and back, added my logo. Super, super simple. Very, very simple. Anyway, go back through here. This transition right here, this mask transition, what I did is I duplicated this clip that I was coming into, and did the same thing. I created a mask over this clip, compounded it, or I stabilized the clip first, then compounded the clip, then did mtracker surface again, same method as my JT logo, and I tracked with the mtracker surface, I tracked this clip to it, and then just did a zoom here. You'll see these zoom in transitions too. This really helps sell the effect. Like if I pull those away, there's some movement, but it's not like as immersive as it can be. So these zoom in transitions I pulled from Ryan Nangle. Smooth transition layers is the name of the plugin. This is vertical, so we just grab the zoom in, and if I mouse over this, you'll see it's just a real smooth zoom that helps sell the effect. And the part one and part two starts zoomed out and continues the zoom. So you'll see as these clips transition between each other here and here, we're zooming in, and then we're zooming out right here, and it creates that seamless look. You can see there's mirrored edges on the top, bottom, left, right. But when you have your motion blur over that, it's happening so quick that your viewer most likely won't notice it. Again, though, keeping a center focus to the best of my ability, trying to keep leading lines here, centered with the pillar in the back. Right here, I picked a corner of the house for the day tonight. And this one doesn't actually line up as good as I wish it would have, but that's just the nature of shooting houses quickly as one person. the flicker transition here is flicker burnout. That's the transition I did there. So